This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesianicristo.
You're listening to INCRadio.
Broadcasting live from Chicago, Illinois. DZEM 954 AM station. Here to bring you great conversations about faith, people, places, culture, and recent events all around the district. Join us on YouTube at INCRadio.org. Hello, Northern Midwest and the rest of the world. It's time to get this show started.
Hello, everyone who's tuning into INC Radio Northern Midwest. Tony Rose Valenzuela here, broadcasting from Sterling Heights, Michigan. And it's a lovely day, a lovely September 7th for us over here. I know for those who might be watching all over the world, it could be September 8th already. But it's a very special day for us and a great topic that we have for all of you about overcoming fear and doubt when taking initiative. So I know it's kind of a mouthful, but I hope that the conversation will be fruitful. And it usually is when I have my two friends, my two brothers here with me in the hangout. I don't know who to go to first. I never know who to go to first. Whoever wants to talk first, just unmute and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Also, I'm John Cruz live here from Rockford, Illinois, here in the district of Great Lakes. And it's not just the two of us as well, so it's just that friends. We also have another one of our friends here, also in the Illinois, I would say the Illinois region of the district. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, it's me once again, Gabriel Romero from Bloomingdale, Illinois, District of Great Lakes. Glad to be here. I let the younger ones go first, so that's why I held back a little bit, just to let.
Thanks.
Glad to be here with everyone.
Yeah, it's an exciting day for us today, and I'm really excited for this topic as well. And I hope everyone who's there in the live chat, you'll be able to comment on it, because this is something that I feel like all of us can relate to, right, Abe and EJ? This idea of fear and doubt when taking initiative or potentially leading different things, right?
Yes,
what are your thoughts?
I always hesitate, like if I'm like, which I don't get a lot of offers of, like taking up, a position where I'm like in a position of leadership, and it always makes me nervous before I, I always have to consider first before I accept the role.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So that's something that we're talking about today. For those who have experience or who have thoughts on this, please put that there in the live chat. What are your thoughts on this, Abe? How can we tackle this idea? Because we're talking about overcoming. So we're talking about overcoming and leadership. What are your thoughts on this?
Because for me, like, this topic is one that I get scared on talking about it, because for me, as someone who has taken leadership roles within my local congregation, at school sometimes, right? Or even at work when I'm in charge of a certain project or have to accomplish a certain task, there are multiple ideas in my head on how to move forward, what to do if something goes wrong, how to not sound so self-centered when leading. So it is a lot for me personally to process. So hopefully within our discussion, we'll be able to, find ways to improve and not, at least for me, not think so negatively about, or with all the intimidation, using that instead to move forward. But at first, I think what I think of or look to are other people who have been leaders in my life as examples. So that's one way I think of, or one way that I try to make myself feel better, is to determine those qualities of other people who I've seen as leaders. So one, they're really always willing to like put out ideas or suggestions, and ones that are not just from themselves only, but with considerations of other people, whether that is talking to other people directly, um, to get their input, or just through like other research. I think we talked about something similar in weeks past, but doing your own research in terms of um, what to do so that you can take the best step moving forward. So that's just one step. I want to save room for everyone else to talk, but that's just one idea I had in mind. Make sure to at least, um, if you find yourself in a leadership position, make sure that you do make decisions that aren't selfish in any way, but for the betterment of a whole, in my opinion.
Mm. I like what you said. Although I don't think selfish is the word I use for it. I think for me it comes with, or it translates as someone who takes like in consideration like what others' opinions are first,
Yeah.
right, before they make their before they make their call, which also is a like what I like about like or a quality that I like in a leader when they like before they make a decision they go to their team first. Okay, like this is what we're tasked with. These are our choices. What do you guys think we should do? What do you guys think we should do? But also they know how to make the final call. When,
Yes.
like let's say there's like there's maybe a couple different ideas going on. Like if they can find a compromise to it, they will, but they know like wait, okay, like I think this would be better for this would be better for like the overall like result of this project. So let's go with this instead. Where it's like for me, like that's a characteristic of a leader that I try to have as well. Like whenever I'm put in a position to lead something.
For me, I like when I can be. I don't want to just say inspired because inspired feels like it's not enough. Like there's another word that I can't think of, but when a leader can make you feel excited and enthusiastic to start doing the work.
Motivated, maybe.
Charismatic.
No, I wouldn't say charismatic. I guess yeah,
Motivated. Is
they
that?
they have the power to motivate you and make you feel excited to do the work. They can get you moving. They have this kind of energy about them. I like to use enthusiasm because there's something about it that is infectious. And even if like maybe initially you might have felt hesitant or you might have felt scared, there's something comforting about the way that they just tackle the situation that you feel more encouraged. You feel more encouraged to kind of take on whatever the task is at hand. And like I feel like the Tagalog is like kaya nilang hihilain ka. Like they can really like find a way to, not in an aggressive way, but they can find a way to pull you along. Like, hey, let's get this, let's get moving, let's get this done. So I like leaders like that. That kind of
Sister
motivation.
Noeli said, she said that a good leader is also a good follower.
Mm,
That's how her thoughts on it. And Brother Chris from Louisville, he said that he needs to lead by example. Like that's a quality for him that identifies a leader. And he also mentioned a good listener as well. The qualities of a leader.
okay.
I agree with those. Like I mentioned earlier, you do take input from all around to make the best decision, but that doesn't mean that, at least to me, a leader doesn't necessarily have to look at every single facet of what
Mhm.
the rest of the group does, right? Or for lack of a better term, micromanaging, right? Like they don't need to inspect everything. They should have that trust, I think,
Yeah.
from the
I
from
was
the
gonna
start.
say that, like it's funny that you brought that up because I think when you micromanage, it kind of shows that you have little trust to your team. So yeah, I like that quality as well. You know, you're not micromanaging, you're delegating, right? You're delegating tasks.
To add to that, I think at least for me, like there needs to have established some form of camaraderie already before starting maybe like that project or something like that, because if the the place leader, right, seems to be controlling, or like we mentioned earlier, micromanaging, then the rest of the group may not want to put their whole self into a project because it's not really coming from them, right? Like you're just kind of doing the work without doing like the work. It's like just for the
Mm.
sake of accomplishment, not for like any gratitude or whatever the project may entail. Like you don't have any feeling put into it if you're not feeling that group teamwork or like.
I was gonna ask if that's related to what Brother Chris here said. He said needs a leader needs to be flexible to accommodate different personalities. Is that kind of like related to what you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, because not everyone thinks the same. So that is kind of what we talked about earlier, wherein you do have to listen because those members of the group may have different viewpoints, or not only different viewpoints, but just ideas that you
Different
not wouldn't have
processes,
experienced.
right?
Right. So you have to be accepting of those different viewpoints because they could see things in a different light. Because if you haven't experienced it, that doesn't mean that that is just a way to disregard, right? That you should, have your eyes open and look through all as many angles as you can, so that you can again accomplish that effort as the leader.
So we talked a little bit about the qualities, but part of our topic, which is actually is like
Right.
overcoming fear and doubt, which I think I mentioned earlier. Like I wouldn't necessarily call it fear, but it's hesitation
Yes.
to take up a leadership position. And for me, it's only because like it's just that I don't know how well I can lead. So like, there's that fear of like, what if what if the outcome to this project is not as they expected it to be, and they it's less than they expected it to be, and like and I feel like that situations I'm like I don't want to show my face anymore because I'm so embarrassed to have delivered something that's subpar to the expectations. But how about for the opponent? Like
Like
where does that fear, that doubt, that hesitation like insert itself when you're leading?
for me, that's also like the other side of working with multiple people. Like it is valuable to have those multiple insights, but then there is that insight or doubt of what if they don't like it, like you were mentioning earlier, like all the what ifs. uh, there's so many questions unanswered that you may not have thought of until the task is done. And then when you look back in hindsight, you're like, oh, I forgot this point, or I should have asked um, regarding this detail. But yeah, that's one way I see, like doubt creeping in, because there are so many other ideas that could come into play. And then like what our brother from Louisville mentioned, right? You have to adapt to those different mindsets of and where those different ideas come from. And I kind of alluded to this at the beginning, but I think to overcome that again is to have that trust between the members, the follower and the leader, right? Um, so that um, you don't have that doubt, or if you still do, you have less of it, at least at the minimum. But just go into it with a positive mindset and outlook, and it's okay to not know everything. I think that's another detail to remember. It's okay to not know everything,
Mhm.
but it is as a leader, you have to, um, you know, take that uncertainty and not bring it to the rest of your team, because then it'll bring a whole um, group mindset down. So again, encouragement is a great way to support teams. Support, another word that I would like to use to overcome that doubt and that fear.
Sorry. No, go ahead, EJ.
I was just gonna ask you the same question.
Okay.
I wanted to know, like, because I know you, for you, like you, I think as far as I've known you, you have kind of like been sort of like a leader in some groups. So I want to know, like, for you, like when you first started, and maybe even now, like what sort of like fears, maybe doubts that you have, like when you're leading.
Uh, a lot of what you've said already. I guess what I can add to it is like disappointing others is one thing. Like especially even the people that you're leading. I think that can be a hard hit. Is like when you feel like you've disappointed people that you're leading, when they have expectations that you're worried if you can fulfill. Other potential fears. I think just in general responsibility. Um, of leading is not, we know that it's not easy because as a leader you make tough decisions, and sometimes if we even just take it out of that idea of being in a position, like if you're just leading in terms of leading as an example, right, being the first person to move is a very vulnerable thing to do. Like being able to do something that's right, that you know that's right, and being being the first person to do that. Let's say like you're out in the world and you see a bad situation happening, and being able to do the right thing as a Christian, right? That can feel, you feel, I guess, lonely in that sense, but as a leader in that leader mindset, you know that when you're doing the right thing, that God is on your side in that way, right? So I think that applies to a lot of the, like what you mentioned earlier, whether it's being in a position or not, just being the first person to act or to like what we've said, taking initiative is scary, of course, because being the first one to show the example, it can be hard to do when you feel like, oh, like, am I going to be the only one doing this, right? And sometimes that's what it is when you're building up. Let's say the first time you're establishing something, you might be the first person that's moving to get things created, to get things built up, and that's not easy. But um to the part of overcoming it, I guess I should say, is you think about why you're doing the thing that you're doing. Why are you taking initiative, for that thing? And that kind of helps remove that fear. And of course, taking initiative in a proper way. Like, you go through the right channels of talking to the right people, and making sure that those who are involved should be involved. Sorry, that was really long-winded, but
No,
I had a
no.
lot to say.
It's kind of went into like the next point that I wanted to get into. It's like, like when you take those, like we all experience those fears, those hesitations, those doubts when we first start taking up a leadership role. So, like, what's like something that you guys would want to say to someone who's like maybe they've just taken up, like they've just taken up, leadership position, and they're still uh, in the midst, or they're having a lot of doubts, a lot of fears, like what's something that you guys would like to remind them or tell them? And I can see you guys are thinking, so I guess I'll start with my with my piece for this. It's like actually I'll say this as a callback to a point that actually Abe mentioned earlier. It's like when you have that team, it's like remembering that it's not your sole responsibility. Of course, it's your responsibility to lead the team, but the result is not your sole responsibility. So get your team involved. Get your team involved. Get them to like get them to work as well. Delegate those tasks. And trust them when you delegate those tasks to them. Don't be right behind them, like, are you doing this? Are you completing this task, like micromanaging everything? you know like delegate those tasks, and of course trust your team, and remember that it's not your sole responsibility. It's the result falls on the entire team as well. So don't feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders when you're leading. But how about the two of you? Any advice you want to add?
I want to add to what you said because with the tasks you have to accomplish, not only is it at times gauged in terms of success slash failure, but there may be certain stepping stones or expectations that maybe someone placed upon you as a leader, and just I would tell that person that if that expectation isn't made 100%, that you've still made progress, and any progress is towards that goal is still a success, even if it's not necessarily set maybe in the ideal time frame. Having that accomplishment of moving closer is still better than being back at step one. So that's what I would remind someone, that any progress is still progress, even if it does take longer than maybe initially planned. Don't I know at times where we do have like deadlines to make, but as long as you've worked 100% to meet that goal as best as you can, um, there is success, and it does make you feel good to know that you've put in all of your efforts. So don't think that you haven't done enough. Don't think that it was, as we call it, maybe a failure, because it's not. You have made progress, and that already is success in itself. So yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
For my part, I would just say that two things. One of the things that I was reminded of recently was that nobody is born a leader. Leaders are made, and often leaders are made through challenging, challenging things and difficult things. Um, Same thing like with character, right? You won't really see the strength of your character until you're put through those tougher times. So those opportunities that you find yourself in a leadership position, that it feels challenging. It's like that challenge will help you grow, but you have to see it through. And especially as Christians, we trust that wherever God places us, we know that He's the one that placed us there. So have the trust that He'll back you up as you're going through it. And secondly, um, don't expect it to go the way that you think it's going to go. You have your plans. You have your plans, and you have your ideas, and you have your thoughts on everything, but it will go how God wants it to go, and just let it, just push through it, and ride it as it comes, and hold on to what's right, because what that fear, it will never, I don't think it ever goes away, because we always want to do our best, and we always want to keep ourselves on our toes to do our best. So the best way that you can deal with it is just to put your trust in what God can do for us and what He can help us overcome, even when it feels impossible. So yeah, this topic makes me feel so soft today.
It's a, I think it's for, at least for us here at the panel, I'm pretty sure for a lot of our based on the demographic or the names I'm seeing, I'm pretty sure it's a topic that's like relevant. Something that we've all like experienced at some point, and it's like really it's close to the heart as well. And
Yeah, and don't forget love. I just want to add that. Don't forget to love what you do. And
that is a that's a nice way to cap off this.
yeah, and I just realized the time. That's why. Also, also the time, just because we want to make sure we fit everything in. But thank you to everyone who's participated in the topic for today. And of course, we do want to remind everyone about all of the different things that we have going on in our district, the different activities that we've had. Like if you participated last Monday on the holiday weekend, we did have our Unity games. So thank you to everyone who came out and participated in that. And then some upcoming things, or I'm sorry, all the Northern Plains. I know we might not have them in the actual live replay, but they may be watching the replay. They also had their Unity games last Monday as well, and then they also had their summer social and the 25th anniversary celebration of Kansas City. Congrats. Anniversary of Sterling Heights also. 10th year anniversary. Shout out to you. Some things coming up though for the District of Great Lakes are the Binhi Skincare Seminar on the 27th. So for those out there who need to tend to your skin, we got that for you. We also have the family cooking activity in October, the Binhi Friendship Day on October 19th, and the Family Fun Day, which is to be announced still. And look out for the next Kadiwa Formal be coming up in October. So keep out for these things because we always want to participate in all the great things that have been established by our beloved leader, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo. Who are we are celebrating today? Because it's his 15th year of dynamic leadership, right?
Yes, which is actually what we want to share with our sign of the week for this week, or our this is your sign activity or segment for this week is a message to our beloved executive minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, which we will sign in sign
Live
language.
in
Yes,
person.
yes.
Yay!
Woohoo! Yes. So let's start off with a nice, easy word with happy. Okay, because we're gonna greet happy 15 years of dynamic leadership. So happy, again, both hands, your palms are facing out. You want to bring your hands forward. Twice happy.
Yes, that's happy. And then 15, you'll have your hand out like this. Hopefully you can see. So you'll do this 3 times. So 1, 2, 3 for 15. And then for year, kind of like you're rotating around the globe. So 15 year. So 15 year. And
And
then
for dynamic, which is actually an interesting I found is there's no direct translation to dynamic, so I'll be using the word energetic, which is think of it like you're bending your fingers and you're kind of like doing like drums. So this is dynamic, a word for dynamic, and leadership combines the words for lead and person. So leadership, leadership. So to our executive minister, we just want to say happy 15 uh, years of dynamic leadership. It's a little bit, sorry, I'm a little out of practice for that, but we hope that we were able to communicate that really well. And again, another segment that we have for our shows here on INCRadio Midwest is the hashtag challenge. So let's find out who won last week's hashtag challenge. If our critic can play that video for us. It's keeping us in anticipation. Honorable mentions first to Andrew Santa Monica and Crystal Patan from Colorado from Washington State as well. And in fourth place is Sterling Heights, Michigan with sorry. And fifth place is Louisville, and with Sermaine Montero from Sterling Heights winning. And in second place is Chesterton with Bernal del Rosario. And in first place is Bloomingdale with Sir Rachel Lynn Weiser winning the first place. Congratulations, not just to our winners, but also everyone who continues to participate and who shares their very creative hashtags there in our live chat as well. So yes, thank you for tuning in with us again in another episode. But before we end, of course, we do not forget to say our special thanks to the people who make our show possible, to our district ministers here in the District of Great Lakes, Brother Arthur P. Agag, our Assistant District Minister, and Brother Irma T. Bendisho, our District Minister. There in Northern Plains, Brother Elmer Parangao, their District Minister, and as well as the rest of the district staffs. And of course, a very special thanks to Brother Angelo Eranio V. Manalo, our Substitute President and CFO Coordinator, and most especially to Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, our Executive Minister. We'll see you again next week and here on INCRadio West, and continue to be phenomenal. Goodbye, everyone.
This is INCRadio, DZEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.